Welcome to Buzzsaw. I'm Tyrell Ventura. This week, we're honored to have the legendary godfather of tabloid TV, Dave High, or the artist formerly known as Wayne Darwin. Dave's had a hell of a career in journalism spanning 30 years, just about. He started off as a protege of Rupert Murdoch and was one of the original producers on A Current Affair. He also went on to helm national magazine programs like Now It Can Be Told with Geraldo Rivera and Strange Universe. Dave also did primetime specials like The Secrets of the National Enquirer, The New Godfathers, and The Son of Sam story. He is truly a legend in this form of television and producing, and he's one of the last great characters in media today. If Hunter Thompson created such a thing called gonzo journalism and created the rules and mantra of that, Dave High created gonzo producing. And I'm about to show you the brand new story that he is working on currently. Prepare yourselves for Hi There. Let's take a look.
I'm starting to believe my own bullshit. I guess we're about 40,000 feet over the Pacific when I start coming down.
Wow. I cannot wait to see this. Dave, thank you for joining me today, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You've had a hell of a career in this business. Take me back. What got you into, producing and television and journalism in general?
I really just fell into it like I fall into anything.
Yeah.
Like this.
Well, what I love is you came in, you cracked your beer, you're sitting down, we're going to have a good discussion. Yeah. So tell me, man, you were there at the beginning of kind of the tabloid news magazine shows. It was you and Bert Kearns and some other very good people. What was that like? I mean, how did they come to you? How did that whole thing kind of get whipped up and created?
It was actually kind of it combusted. It started as a tiny little show created actually by a friend of mine, Peter Brennan. And won several Emmys, and because of our friendship, I fell into it with him, and before we knew it, we had this sensational national hit TV show.
Yeah. And that was A Current Affair.
Yeah.
Current Affair. I mean, that really kind of changed the scope because, you had mainstream news who kind of did their mainstream thing and kind of stayed away at that era of very tabloidy stories and things like that. Yeah. And then you guys said, I think it was Rupert Murdoch said, I'm going to take what I'm doing in Australia and in Europe, bring it to the US, and then we've created a hit show. One of the, some of the amazing things that you guys did over there, which, really kind of rankled some feathers, pissed people off. They said, oh, they're trash journalists and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But when you look at like the shows and the stories that you were discussing then, when I turn on regular cable news today, that's all the same stories I see. Yeah. So it's interesting, like looking at what you guys did then has now become part of mainstream media.
Yeah, that's. I'm very sorry about that, that I had anything to do with that. But it's like anything, if you see something successful, it will be copied over and over. But it should never have been copied by mainstream news.
Right.
And it's become actually worse than tabloid. We did it a whole lot better.
Well, you guys kind of gave it its own place to be, and now it kind of it permeates everything.
Yeah.
When they're just, when they'll kind of push a drone story to the side to talk about what Justin Bieber ate for breakfast, that's terrible in its own way, especially for mainstream news. Put it on its own shows, let it be its own show, and then see what happens.
So I would certainly go for what Justin Bieber ate for breakfast.
Yeah. All right, so Dave, let me ask you this. What is this? You got to interview David Berkowitz. What was that like?
Life-changing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of guy is he? Is he?
Trying to cut a long story short, I guess when you see yourself in someone like that, you say, but for the grace of God go I, and you see circumstances, and the conflict I had was I liked him as a person.
Really?
And of course was, horrified by the things he had done. And I couldn't reconcile it, really. And I think that was a big turning point in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
How, in the stories that you guys were doing, what ones kind of, do you remember some of the ones that have jumped out in your career that you're just like, what the hell am I doing here right now?
Yeah, every one of them. When you end up in buttfuck Iowa and you go, Jesus. Wow, I wish you'd warned me about that one.
That's why here at Buzzsaw we go off the cuff, man.
Yeah, it's good, but my brain works slower than the normal man's now.
Well, let me ask you this. Walking into, like, when you're talking to Berkowitz, how does a story like that come about? I mean, you're just kind of looking at, like, oh, hey, I mean, you have to go and get access to them. You have to make friends with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of months went into that.
Really?
But again, the story came to me. It always does.
Really?
I just have to go someplace. I don't have to look for a story. It finds me. I don't know why. That one found me. Yeah, it took months of going, visiting, talking to him, and getting his trust that I would tell the truth, even though he might not like what the truth was. And yeah, it took a lot of negotiations and finding go-betweens. In that case, his minister, his church.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And but he'd never spoken, and it was a great get, and an interesting experience.
Well, it's like I said kind of at the top, in looking at, how you approach stories and what you've done with your career, it does feel a little bit of that kind of gonzo producing of, a lot of the stories, like you said, they find you, and then you're part of them, and then...
Or they happen and you wonder what you're going to do with them. For me, in the basic formula always, even with tabloid, tell people what they don't know. Not what they already have.
Oh, that's interesting.
What they already know.
All right, yeah,
if there's a story, tell me what I don't know about that story, instead of telling me interminably over and over and over the same details on the same story.
Right, you're looking for what the story behind the story.
Yeah, I want to know why it happened, what happened. I want to get to the person at the center of it. Yeah, I want the story.
Well, I mean, a lot of you guys' kind of adventures, in the early years of tabloid television, which I'll give him the good plug, was kind of done in Bert Kearns' book, Tabloid Baby, which he discusses, he talks a lot of about you and Brendan and all of them. It's a fantastic book to read. I gave you your plug, Bert.
He's a great writer.
He's a great writer.
Yes.
I worked with him, the reason I know Bert is I worked with him doing conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
and he was fantastic. I love him as a producer because he...
I wouldn't know you except for Bert.
Exactly, and through Bert, I always meet wonderful, fascinating, wonderful individuals like yourself, and I can thank him up and down for it.
I was going to say up till now.
Up till now. Well, it's also, I worry where my life is going to lead now after meeting you.
Well, just don't hang out with me. We'll be fine.
So speaking of the story Finding You, you're now doing Hi There. Tell us a little bit about what that is and what the kind of how you created this show and what's behind it.
Like I said, it created itself. It just happened. I'm fooling around. I'd smoked a few too many joints, had a few too many beers. An old friend of mine, Roland, is experimenting with a new camera of his. We've worked together many years. And we were talking about doing something because nothing was doing. And it combusted. It just kind of popped out. And we didn't think anything of it at the time. And then looked at it and went, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and this is a story that originally started off of you guys trying to design, trying to do a television show about you traveling around the world.
Yeah.
And, trying out all the best pot in the world.
Yeah.
Like a wine tasting show for potheads.
Yeah, going to the best places to get stoned.
Yeah.
It's, and I threw it out stoned. Going, that's kind of my idea. That's my dream job.
Oh, how could it not be?
But he liked it. It would have gone nowhere except he liked it, And before I knew it, we're in Hawaii doing this thing, not quite knowing what it was going to be, and eventually learning by the end of it that some things you've just got to let be themselves. You know, and it is what it is.
Well, that's what, like I said, it gets back to that kind of gonzo journalism thing of just kind of, you know, the story will find you as you're doing the story. And
yeah, a lot of different stories found me in this, some poignant stories, and but mostly it's, I looked at it, you know, I never intended to do it, but I looked at the footage and I went, this is kind of funny, and I saw an aspect of myself that I hadn't seen. And I thought I wouldn't like, but actually I thought, Dave's not that bad. He's pretty harmless. He's a fuck up.
Yeah.
And it's an aspect of me when you get me going with beers and pot and shit, whatever I could get in. And it came out, and I came to like Dave as like an alter ego.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating character that you're kind of, that's part of you that you're embodying and doing this. And
I prefer to be Dave.
Exactly.
I like being
You like
Dave.
being
Has
Dave.
a fun life.
Dave has a great
He
life.
doesn't worry about jack shit.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he just, you know, he has a problem, he just gets fucked up. You know?
What, you know, part of, I think you were telling me, and one of the things that intrigued me is that as you were doing the show, it became, you know, you realized like, okay, we're in Hawaii, all hell is breaking loose, nothing is working the way we want it to work.
It's a disaster.
You know, and then you realize, wait a minute, the show might be more interesting looking at how we're making the show rather than what we originally set out to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite when it hit me. There was a lot of fuck-ups, you know, incredibly disastrous run-in with Roseanne Barr. I get ripped off on a pot deal the first night I'm in town. I, of course, have to have pot. We still rolling? Yeah, okay. And it just kept getting worse. And we'd say, oh, it's another day tomorrow. The sun had come up. It had looked beautiful. And it was something else that went bad. And then we find the day we arrived in town, the front page story was the DEA was doing an undercover drug sting across the whole island.
Oh my God.
So everyone in this little town we were in thought we were DEA, and no one would talk to us.
So you guys arrived here with
worse.
cameras and things like that, and then
we go self-contained. We keep it.
Let me ask you about that. You know, I think it's on everybody's mind right now. We've had how many states legalize medicinal marijuana? I think it might even be. Was it Colorado just recently, or Vermont?
Colorado, Washington.
Yeah, and then even
DC just made medicinal legal.
Right.
There are tons of medicinal states, but Colorado and Washington.
I think they just said that you can actually carry it now, you know, without having a medical license either. You know, I mean, where do you feel that we're going in terms of that direction in the drug war? I mean, do you see it finally loosening up, or do you think they're going to turn around and put the clamps down again?
I think it's changing.
Yeah.
You know. These are good signs. The walls are breaking down, and in a bad economy, you know, you show me the money and I'll do it. You know, so it's a good time to legalize it because states can make a lot of money out of it.
Exactly.
Once the federal government works out how to make more money out of legalizing it and keeping it illegal, then it will be legal across the board.
I can't wait. No, I can't wait for that day because there's too many people thrown in jail for consensual crimes.
It's horrendous. The Human Rights Commission, UN Human Rights Commission, condemned the U.S. recently.
Yes, that is true.
And generally, prosecution of personal drug use. It's a violation of human rights.
It is a violation of human rights.
I think it absolutely is.
I mean, hey, you know, there's nothing wrong with tuning in, getting high, and dropping out. You know, that's all right. You know.
Well, you know what? While we're on it, and while I think of it, otherwise I'll forget it. I thought of something once that still rings true to me. And that's the Roe versus Wade decision, that a woman had a right to do what she wants with her own body.
Correct.
If that applies to a woman, why doesn't it apply to everybody? Or else it's a sexist law that only applies to part of the population. Why can't we all do what we want with our own bodies? It's only a crime when it hurts another body.
That's a great point.
And I had a couple of words with lawyers about it, you know, and fun conversation saying, gee man, I wish I'd been a lawyer. I'd fight on Roe versus Wade. Yeah.
It's a good fight, and I agree with you. You know, we should be able to, it's our right, it's our body. What we do to it, as long as we don't harm anybody else, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day.
Washington and Colorado are ahead of it, and they're going to gain from it. Everyone will gain from it, and there'll be more to follow. But, you know, it's kind of funny to notice that Mexico, Colombia, I think Brazil, certainly Portugal, all now allow personal use of anything.
That's true. Yeah.
For personal use. So you have under a certain quantity, it's not a crime. It's your right to do it. I find it a shame that they're ahead of us on the human rights front and the drug war, because it's succeeding in bringing down addiction rates, HIV rates from bad needles.
Correct.
You face the problem, and then we're spending $15 billion this year on the drug war. And it's a war on our own people.
It's a war to make money, really.
Yeah.
It's a perpetuating kind of money cow. It's a cash
unless
cow.
they figure out a way to make more money out of legalizing it and keeping it illegal, it will stay illegal.
Yeah. You know, and one aspect of your career that was always kind of always jumped out at me. I want to introduce it with this clip because it always kind of struck me, and I guess what is it? Imitation is the greatest sense of flattery. So let me roll this clip and let you take a look at it.
Tonight, I'm standing on Highway 666, running through towns like Cortez, Shiprock, Sheep Springs, and ending in Gallup, New Mexico. To some, a beautiful stretch of the American landscape, but to Mickey and Mallory Knox, who are still at large, it is literally a candy lane of murder and mayhem.
So now there we see our buddy Robert. And now I want to show this other clip that goes in conjunction with that. Just to see Robert, Natural Born Killers. I'm going to take a look at this other clip just to see where Robert may have gotten the idea. Let's roll the second one.
Today I'm speaking to you from a secret sanctuary most people wouldn't believe could even exist in modern America, and which is presided over by a man who in many ways seems to belong to another place and time.
I mean, that's a pretty that's a pretty dead-on impersonation of your work.
It wasn't meant to be. In fact, someone made me wear that hat.
Well, I mean, I think that Robert, though, in looking at the character he created in Wayne Gale in Natural Born Killers, I mean, it's clearly your former it's clearly your former self.
I guess I never thought of that clip. I guess you have a bit of perspective on that than me. But yeah, when I first saw him, of course, it jarred me. It was very, it's not like me. A lot of things going on. It's very similar.
Was it a curious thing seeing yourself kind of represented in that way in this huge Oliver Stone film?
Yeah, I thought it was a great film. It's one of my favorite films, and I love Oliver Stone. You take it as a compliment that you were worth even alluding to. No, actually, our mutual friend Bert was seeing the movie when it first came out and ran out to call me and say, "Hey, I'm watching you up on the fucking screen. Oliver Stone just ripped off your life." It was incredibly similar, but no, I think it was a very poignant movie and a great indictment of the media. And I plead guilty as charged. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you ever feel that you guys crossed a line? Did any story
Which
ever?
line?
Okay. Well, let's think about it. Okay, when you say indictment of tabloid journalism and things like that, was there anything that you were doing that ever really made you feel like you had crossed a line?
I can't say I wasn't deceptive at times, and I was, but I always told people the truth. What I was going to do. I never lied to them, but it takes a certain amount of deception to get stories, I guess, and cunning. But I did find out later in life that the truth is much more powerful.
Yes.
And I got a lot of interviews by simply observing a lot of people waiting around not making a move, and I'd tell people the truth. This is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to do. All these people are waiting for your story, and I got an incredible amount of exclusives that way. And so it's better to be upfront. I think people relate to it because they've got wires to all the bullshit that goes down.
Let me ask you this, and this is curious.
Yeah.
Dave, what is your perfect world? Like, if you could sit back and what's your perfect world? What's your perfect afternoon?
Well, my perfect world on earth? Mm-hmm. I think being with my 11-year-old son, maybe playing ball out at the beach, watching him play a ball game, like everybody else. Mm-hmm. That's probably when I'm at my happiest.
Yeah. Where do you see this where do you see the media going? I mean, it's reached this kind of amazing crescendo where you have, people, like Bill O'Reilly and people like that who are kind of yelling and hollering and doing all that. I mean, Bill used to be on hard copy.
I know Bill from way back.
And now he's presenting the news, but I believe he presents it more as opinion-based news, but people take it as news.
But that's a cheap way to do TV, and everyone discovered it. You take a story and get a bunch of people to talk about it. And so it's only conjecture. You may as well get a bunch of psychics. They're trying to tell you what's going to happen next instead of reporting what's already going on. It's bullshit. But Bill does it very well. He found his niche. He's very good at what he does, but it's all now opinion journalism, you'll see, and it's based nothing on but what you think. There are no facts. Cost cutting, people don't go out and investigate anymore. And where do I see it going? I see it very close to being the TASS news agency. You can see that the Huffington Post is just a propaganda arm for the Obama White House.
Oh, completely.
Fox News has been accused of being a propaganda arm for the Republican Party, and to a degree that's correct. But I like Fox News. They bullshit better. It's more entertaining.
It's entertaining.
If you're going to
bullshit.
watch bullshit, at least entertain me. NBC, no, MSNBC, I'm sorry.
Does not entertain.
No, you need a news station that keeps changing its ideology so that whoever the sitting president is, go against him and your numbers will go up. Go and, just keep slinging shit at him. And then when it changes to another one, then go slinging shit at him, because you want to see these people pissing on him, not praising them.
Right.
Call me out, call them out. And they're not. I can't watch MSNBC anymore. I can watch Fox.
You can watch more
because they're beating up on Obama. They're not enough, and they're full of shit. But I would do it a lot better than that. But they won't let me anymore. I'm banned.
You're banned.
I'm banned from Fox.
Oh, no. What do you think got you banned from Fox?
Probably selling Son of Sam to Roger King. Kingwell didn't help.
Ooh, yeah, that's a little tough.
Well, I did offer it to Fox first.
Okay, but
they declined.
Well, then how can they ban you?
Yeah. So.
Well, you've worked with Rupert Murdoch a lot. What kind of man is he?
He's always been very nice to me, and I must say, no matter what you think of him, I do owe him my life and career for what it's worth. But I learned a lot, and I think he's one of the last news barons that is actually in it because he loves the business.
Do you really think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He could do any business he wanted. Yeah, but he's accused of being, the vocal strong arm of the Republican Party and conservatives and all that. Yeah. But do you really feel at the end of the day that he is in it because he loves the news?
Yeah, it's a family tradition.
Yeah.
His father owned the Adelaide Advertiser in Australia. He took that and he built it into his empire. And, it was a trip being there as he launched his American empire. I was there, and so, no, I owe him a lot, and he has his opinions, but he truly loves it. And he'd roll his sleeves up and get down in the days of hot type. And he'd be setting pages and writing the front page headlines. He loves it. And unfortunately now people aren't in it for the love of journalism, whatever you do with it.
What are they in it for, in your opinion?
For the money. It's the antitrust laws changed, and corporations, GE, and they became the owners, and it was all about the dollar.
Do you think that we'll ever be able to get true journalism back?
I hope so. I mean, there may be a backlash. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell the future. But the way it is now is, pretty fucking awful.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I
But
mean, I'm not one to, I'm not one to
throw stones.
criticize doing what I've done, but, you know.
You can still have a good perspective of it, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's important to talk to you, because you've been right there and you've been down in the muck and and what some people would consider the filth.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a particular fan of exposés on celebrities and things like that. I've had to live with them, with my dad and things like that. But at the same time, those are the people to me that you need to talk to, because if those are the people behind it, and why are they doing it, and why, what's the purpose, and things like that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on and talk about it.
Murdoch is, essentially a businessman.
Yeah.
And whatever makes the buck, but he chose his business because he loved it.
Yeah.
And he stayed with it. He really hasn't branched out, and he's very good at it. He's a very clever man.
Oh, yes.
And
here's a question for you. Where do you see, we've talked a little bit about Hi There and things like that, and you're talking a lot about internet. And, we're on a news show, alternative news show on the internet. How do you feel about the internet being kind of the new, bastion of kind of good journalism and truth in journalism?
I think it is.
Yes. Do you?
That is it. That's why I'm pursuing it, because I can't deal with TV anymore.
Right.
It's the last place where you can have freedom of expression, and it is open. There's a lot of outlets, and I hope that doesn't get shut off, but I'm sure it will.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem we have in media today is the corporate control, which then leads into the propaganda, leads into the government control, and things like that. And these are the things that truly threaten where we're at. That and the money.
These corporate entities are funding, presidential campaigns, and this thing called payback. You got to pay back. It's like, I think the whole thing is kind of like politics, and that blends in with the media. It's just kind of like a legalized, organized crime. It's bribery. It's a bribery system.
Bribery system.
Yeah, that's why you can't, I think you have to change the laws where you use taxpayer dollars like they do in Britain, they used to do in Australia, I think.
You give every candidate
to stop that, and then if you take a bribe, then it's illegal. Don't legalize.
Well, now they legalize bribery.
Well, it is, of course. If you're going to give millions upon millions of dollars to a campaign, you want something back in return. So they're each, corporations and the government are each holding a gun at each other's head. It's the axis of evil.
Do you want another beer?
Do you think I need one?
Maybe.
Am I getting bored?
Tabitha can bring you another beer.
Am I rambling?
A little cold one.
Okay, thanks. You're so considerate.
On that note, Dave.
Am I rambling too much?
Not at all. No, not at all, man.
Am I making any sense?
You're making a lot of sense.
I am Dave High.
No, you're doing great.
That's my out. That's why I like to be Dave High.
Exactly.
Because if I fuck up, I can blame Dave.
Well, yeah, you haven't fucked up yet. Not in my eyes. We let a lot go here. We're okay. We're on the internet. No one gives it. We love it. I mean, my last name isn't actually Ventura.
And you work for the CIA.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Bilderbergs. But
and this is all a bad dream.
It is all a bad dream.
And it's all Louis' fault because he made me take that vape.
Right before you came on.
Well, I did. I've smoked about 3.
3 already?
Yeah, I guess. It's the 5th beer, I guess.
Hey, there we go.
Best you know,
so you're having
rather
a good
than
day.
say that guy's fucked up.
Right.
I'd rather tell you up front, I'm not fucked up, but I'm a bit buzzed.
Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah, I could be a little more coherent.
Of course. No,
but I'm still more coherent than the media.
Exactly.
I can do drunk what they do straight and a hell of a lot better. I recommend they find out what I'm drinking and smoking and start feeding it to all their employers.
All right, here's what I'll ask you for. All right. Historical figure you'd most want to get high with?
Bob Dylan.
Oh, good one. All right. All right, straightest guy, like the straight guy. Who would you like to see high?
Who would I like to see high?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Jesus? Perfect.
I don't know.
Perfect.
I'm channeling.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. I'll let you continue to channel.
Cool.
Thank you for
Thanks.
coming
Well, I
on
love
today,
your
man.
channel.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's
Always.
been a buzz.
It has been a buzz.
So.
It has been a buzz, and we're all buzzed here at Buzzsaw. Thank you for joining us today.